Where is everybody? The Fermi paradox is about extraterrestrial intelligence. If it does exist in the universe, how come we haven't seen it? It's human nature to apply such reasoning, and not just to whether or not aliens exist. You want someone to get over their skepticism and believe that peace is possible with people who keep attacking and killing them? You want trust? Well, if peaceful coexistence is so possible, then why hasn't it happened already? It's not hard to reason your way into being discouraged, just as Fermi concluded that intelligent life, in fact, must not exist elsewhere in the universe. Welcome back, and thank you for wanting to know the facts and the truth. What's going on in the Israeli-Palestinian conflict is big. You can't miss it on the news. You can't miss it on college campuses. And you really can't miss it online. But what are the facts? Why is this happening? That's what we're here to answer. Our approach is to examine the major themes and focus on the important events that help you make sense of what's happening today. We care about knowing the truth. We also care about the basic human right to live in peace. We care about ending the suffering. We care about finding justice. And we think you're here because you do too. The only path for us then is to go after the facts and be open to what they show us. Life can be beautiful without hatred, violence, and war, and maybe the way there starts with better understanding each other, better understanding the Jewish people, the Palestinian people, the history of their conflicts and past peace efforts, and some of the major issues standing in the way of forging real peace. What the Hell is Going On in Gaza is a 9-part series made up of 30 episodes, each designed to help you understand a different but important part of the picture. As part 8 of our series continues, we keep our focus on one of the most vexing questions of recent times. Is peace even possible? And if so, how? The ideas we'll walk through are more about identifying what stands in the way, what needs to be solved in order for there to be a realistic chance for peace. In order to talk about the requirements for peace, we first need to understand where Israelis and Palestinians are starting from. Here in episode 29, we'll talk about how Israelis feel about Palestinians. According to an article titled Life in Israel After October 7th in 5 Charts by Benedict Vigers and published by Gallup in December 2023, quote, 1 in 4 Israeli adults currently support the existence of an independent Palestinian state, while most, 65%, oppose it. This is almost a complete reversal of where they stood on the issue a decade ago, when twice as many Israeli adults supported an independent Palestinian state, 61%, as opposed to one, 30%. And according to Pew Research's March-April 2023 survey, before Hamas's October 7th attack, quote, only 35% of Israelis think a way can be found for Israel and an independent Palestinian state to coexist peacefully, according to the survey. That represents a decline of 9 percentage points since 2017 and 15 points since 2013. Returning to the article published by Gallup, Benedict Vigers wrote, quote, Israelis have been skeptical about the prospects for peace for more than a decade, but they are even more doubtful now. Between 2006 and 2017, 29% of Israelis, on average, thought lasting peace was possible. Since the October 7th attack, less than half as many, 13%, hold on to the hope that it could still happen, while a record high 74% do not expect a permanent peace between the two sides. As we discussed in episode 20, Israelis are discouraged. After decades of failed peace attempts, decades of violence, decades of Palestinian intransigence on the most basic issue, these polls show clearly that Israelis have grown tired of trying. We also discussed that this attitude has pushed Israelis to the right and led to the election of government coalitions who are skeptical of peaceful coexistence with the Palestinians. This includes Israel's current governing coalition led by Benjamin Netanyahu, whose policies reflect a cynicism about achieving peace. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu came to power with a promise to ensure Israel's safety and security, a reflection of Israelis' view that defense has become the greater priority. Protests against the Netanyahu government and its attempts to change Israel's laws in a way that take it farther to the right and make it less democratic have met with significant opposition in Israel. Moshe Dayan was a legendary Israeli general. In 1956, he attended the funeral of an Israeli murdered by Palestinians who came across the border from Gaza into southern Israel. In his eulogy, he summed up a view of Israel's situation that was and still is held by many. He said, quote, "The millions of Jews, annihilated without a land, peer out at us from the ashes of Israeli history and command us to settle and rebuild a land for our people. But beyond the furrow that marks the border lies a surging sea of hatred and vengeance, yearning for the day that tranquility blunts our alertness, for the day that we heed the ambassadors of conspiring hypocrisy who call for us to lay down our arms." What was Moshe Dayan talking about? A surging sea of hatred and vengeance. He understood that the existence of a Jewish state was intolerable for many Arabs. He understood that even by 1956, Israel and its people had already been mythologized into something wicked, something that must be destroyed. He also understood that what was required of Israelis was vigilance against the hatred and attacks that would continue to come. The perspective expressed in Moshe Dayan's eulogy that day sometimes reflected the views of a majority of Israeli citizens and sometimes didn't. But it does more so today after so many failed peace attempts and waves of Palestinian terrorism, including, of course, the atrocities of October 7th. As we discussed with respect to how Palestinians feel about Israelis, building peace from a starting point of distrust is not easy. Thanks for watching episode 29 in our series. We hope you gained a better understanding of how Israelis feel about Palestinians and why. We learned that most Israelis don't support the creation of an independent Palestinian state because they don't believe it would coexist peacefully with Israel. We learned that Israelis' sense of discouragement has pushed the electorate to the right and empowered a more hardline governing coalition, which reflects the views of some Israelis but greatly offends others. It's complicated. There's still a lot more to learn, so we hope you'll stay with us for episode 30, where we'll look at what it will take to achieve real peace, not a small or easy topic. If you'd like to leave a comment or get in touch, visit our website at www.getthefactsmiddleeast.com. Thank you for joining us. We appreciate your interest in learning more about the war in Gaza. And remember, where there is no knowledge, there can be no insight.